Good morning, everyone. Free to play gaming here. Early morning, got my coffee here like usual. This is my time to record. I've gotten a lot of requests for the Light Bounty Hunter. Walker is his evolved version, and people want to know my thoughts on it. So, without further ado, I'm just gonna jump right into this, and I'm just gonna kind of spout things off as I see them. Uh, don't take everything I say as the be all end all truth. I can get a lot of stuff wrong here, especially seeing as how I haven't really done a ton of research on this monster first. So, jumping right into it. Actually, I don't have him as my monster, so let's get him first. I just got him today for 22 days or 24 days of consecutive login. So you need to collect him first thing. He's going to be right here. Make sure you collect him within 6 days. I think it's 7 days total. So now we have him here. He's going to be a 3-star. Okay. So first thing I like to do is check out what type of a monster he is. He's an attack monster. So I like that right off the bat. A lot of high-end arena teams are built on attack monsters. Now, his attack's going to be way less than an attack monster if you level him up and get him a 6-star, as say an attack monster that's natural 4-star, natural 5-star, like Julian or Lucian or different monsters like that. So taking a look at his skills, this is the next thing I like to do. Bullseye aims and shoots for the gap in the enemy's armor, having a 25% chance to ignore the enemy's defense. So just right off the bat, I'm seeing this is a single target attack for his main attack. That's not uncommon. Nothing real fancy here. You're not applying any conditions with the set effect, so he's not going to be real great for anything like that. A 25% chance to ignore the defense. Yeah, that's okay. And it looks like it's going to take 5 other bounty hunters skill ups just to get this max skill. And you're not getting any extra percentage. Usually that's a good thing to get more percentage of the extra to attack. So you're just getting extra damage. I don't see anything special here. Bullseye. So Arrow of Purification attacks the enemy with an arrow and removes one beneficial effect. Reusable in 3 turns. So again, it's a single target attack. You're only removing one beneficial effect. Usually when you're going against teams, they'll apply 2 at a time. So you're not going to get to pick which beneficial effect you remove. You're just going to get to remove one. Again, it's going to take 3 skill ups to max skill this level. And they're all just damage percents. So I'm not seeing anything special with this second attack here either. You know, he's kind of looking like a weak attack slash support monster so far. Let's see his third attack. Maybe this will change my mind. Attacks and stuns an enemy for 1 turn. This attack has a 50% chance of setting back the enemy's skill cooldown times to the full amount. Okay, so this is an interesting attack here. And where I see this one useful is probably more so in dungeons than in arena fights. Again, he has no AoE attacks. These are all single damage attacks. And you're getting a 50% chance, so half the time you're going to reset their cooldowns for all their skills. Now that could be huge if you're fighting a boss monster in dungeons and you want to make sure they don't get a certain attack off. This could be a clutch skill, but again, 50% chance. All the skill ups are not giving you any extras in that. You know, if you get this max skilled up and you get this cooldown turn -1, you can use this every 4 turns. So you gotta think every 4 turns you'll have a 50% chance of resetting the enemy's cooldowns. So he could be useful in the current version of Giant's Keep, which is changing very soon, to make sure the giant can't attack. Or actually, that's not even a good example. Some of the different elemental dungeons where they build up certain skills, and when they actually use those skills, they're like horribly damaging. So I think the fire elemental dungeon as you get higher up in the rankings, he has some skills like that. So it could be useful for some things like that, but and it's always good to stun the enemies, but there's a lot of better monsters out there who can just any AoE attack monster. If you throw despair runes on them, they're going to AoE attack 4 enemies with a 25% chance to stun them just with despair runes if it's just a normal AoE attack. So right there's a 100% chance to stun 1 enemy. So every time you do an AoE attack with one of those monsters, you're pretty likely to get one of those monsters stunned. With this guy, it's an AoE attack. I don't know if this means you're always going to stun them. I doubt it, especially if they have resistance. I think this probably depends a lot on your accuracy and resistance. I doubt it's a guaranteed stun, but if it is, then that makes him a little bit higher up in my book. But again, no AoE attacks. I'm not really feeling too much with this monster right now. Now, if we awaken him, it increases his attack speed by 15. That's okay. And it's going to increase some other basic stats. So I would go ahead and awaken him, but I'm not. I want to learn a little bit more about him first. And I'm going to jump over to this website. It's a wiki, and I'm not trying to steal the information off here, but I'd like to use it to do some comparisons for you guys to see what your light bounty hunter is actually going to turn into when everything's said and done. So let's just focus. Hopefully you guys are still seeing this screen here. So light bounty hunter here, let's take a closer look through the wiki where they list the different stats as max level. These are just the base stats without runes. So this is how I see some different monsters that I might not necessarily have. So it's summonerswar.wikia.com. So a very useful piece of information here. So let's just assume you say this is going to be one of my team members. I want him to be at least 5-star, maybe even 6-star. So they have hit points, attack, and defense. So I'm looking at this and I'm seeing 8,070 maximum hit points if you 6-star this monster, which is very difficult to do. Chances are you'll have a better choice for a 6-star. I'll tell you that right off the bat. But let's just assume you did a 6-star. We'll do these comparisons with a 6-star, which is the best this bounty hunter could be. Attack 560. Right off the bat, I'd know that's a pretty low number, especially for an attack monster. Heck, his defense is going to be almost as great. And for 5-star, even lower, 412 attack. That's not that great. So let's compare that for reference against a fire Inugami here. I'm going to pull this over to this side so we can do a little comparison here. Now this is a monster that comes highly recommended as a starting monster to get you through mid-game. This isn't something I would 6-star necessarily. There's probably better choices out there for you to do. A lot of people like to 6-star the Inugamis because they have this passive ability, but we're not talking about the Inugami here. We just want to see stats. So actually I'm going to pull this over a little more. Okay. So hit points, 8,400 for the... So he's got some more hit points at 6-star. For 5-star, he's also got more hit points. He's got quite a bit more attack. And he's got a little less defense, but he's an attack monster as well. So this is a natural 3-star, this is a natural 3-star. So this is a good comparison right here. You can pause the video if you want, take a look at it yourself. I'm going to cycle through some other things. So a lot of people want to know whether they should keep it and focus on this monster. Let's look at some other monsters that I probably... So let's switch over to walkers here. These are going to be his stats. And then we'll change over to, let's say, Julian here. So these are going to be his stats if he's fully evolved and max level. So this makes more sense to do the comparison for 6-star and 5-star, because you're going to awaken this monster, no doubt. So his attack goes up to 637. And this is not awakened, so if you awaken him, I don't know exactly what his attack would be. We can take a look at that a little later, maybe. But here's a monster I would recommend. So here's a natural 4-star. And here's an endgame monster that's an attack as well. This is an attack type monster. And if we compare some of these stats, so yeah, Walker's has higher base hit points at 4 star. But look at how much difference his attack is, 637, where my Julian's base attack is 944. That is a huge difference. The Julian's going to be way more powerful. But yeah, you sacrifice a little hit points in defense. In arena fights, if you go first and you attack, and you have strong attacks, that matters way more than having higher hit points and higher defense for most teams. Maybe you want to build walkers into a big tanky stay alive team, and maybe he's just gonna try to focus on one monster and take away their buffs and stun that one monster. But then you got 3 other monsters just beating up on your whole team. But if you built a team around him, he could be okay. That's what's interesting about Summoners Wars. You can build a team around just about any monster you have. Just start thinking about possibilities and how they're gonna jive with other monsters. I don't want to say that any monster is bad and not to go for it. I just want to point out that maybe there's better choices out there for you in the current state of the game. So if we look over it, here's another example. This is my next 6 star. I just did this video last night. Pretty excited to get this 6 star. And this is also an attack monster. So big difference here. My Shimei is going to have way more hit points at both levels. So she's even going to have almost as much attack at level 35 as a 5 star as he will as a 6 star. So make of that what you will. 20 difference here, 24 difference. Defense is going to be lower on my Shimei, but for the team I have her in, she's going to be a much better choice than something like the Walkers here. So that's basically what I like to look for in these. So people want to know whether or not they should be using this monster, not necessarily end game, but mid game too. So there are benefits to this. I'm sure a lot of people have a lot of light fusion material, so you can awaken him quite easily. You could probably rune him up with the skills that he has. I'm not seeing a lot of reason to be giving him more accuracy just with the skills he has here. Probably with his stats, I would probably go with something like maybe hit points. Maybe, I don't really know. Even some attack percent runes might be okay for this guy. He probably could benefit a lot from some of the new runes that were just announced. I don't really know too much about those runes yet. I need to dig into those some more. So some stuff like, let's see here, immunity for 1 turns, these will runes. Maybe let's see what these are. Attack gauge plus 4% every 7% hit points lost. This is interesting. So maybe you want to, give him some hit point runes, buff him up real hard, and then the other arena teams put him on your defense team, and then maybe the attack teams will see him and go, oh, he's an easy character to kill. I know the light bounty hunters, or they go down pretty quick. Then they start taking down your hit points. Your attack gauge starts increasing because they're focusing on this monster, and then you start stunning them more, and you start hitting real often with this character because they're hitting you. So there's a lot of ways to think about these runes. There's no best set rune set. There is for some of these monsters, depending on what kind of a team you have, and there's just a best rune set for some skills. But I don't really know what else to say about this. I guess I'm going to rate that monster like maybe 5 out of 10 stars. Maybe that's a little low. Maybe I'm going to get some comments saying, oh, he's going to be absolutely fantastic in this certain scenario. So if you know this certain scenario that he's going to be a great monster for, well, that's good. I got some mana stones at least. 150,000 is always good. If you know the scenario that Light Bounty Hunter is going to be excellent in, please post that. Let some people know, because a lot of people are going to be having this monster and they'd like to incorporate him into their teams. And don't feel bad, guys. When I first seen these, log in for so many days and you get this rare monster, I was super excited too. I don't remember what the last two were, but I remember I was super excited to get them. I think one of them was this light dragon here. Actually, let's take a look at those real quick. I think I hung on to them. Let's see here. Oh, I probably just passed it. I think one of them was this light dragon. I could be mistaken, but I was like, oh, this light serpent's gonna be awesome. And they have some interest. This light serpent has some interesting attacks and stuff as well. But could I really see myself making this a high end level monster? No, not really. So kind of just sat in the sidelines. And I think last month it was this dark martial cat, and I was like, oh, that might be pretty cool. And then I start looking into some of the stuff, and it's just not as good as I was hoping for it to be. So I got a feeling pretty soon Com2 US is going to start increasing, giving us rare monsters to keep the game progressing. And they're probably going to start giving us 4-star, natural 4-star monsters if you log in 30 days in a row. This game's still pretty early, so that's why they're giving us some of these sort of rare, light, dark monsters for being very good players for them. We're logging in every single day to get these monsters, and that's what they want. They want to just dangle that carrot in front of our nose and until we get what we want. So it's kind of like Pokemon. You gotta catch them all and have all these monsters. So that's all I have to say in this video. Hopefully, some of the information I provided you might be wrong. Make of it what you will. I hope you guys have a really good use for this light bounty hunter, but there's probably better choices out there. For example, if you just farm Aden Forest, I want to go over that too. That's a good farming location. If you just farm that, you're probably going to get one of these Wind Grim Reapers, and this is probably a better choice to take end game, I'm going to say, than like a light bounty hunter. And even this werewolf can be a pretty good monster. And so can these fire magical archers. Wind magical archer can be really awesome for single target AoE attacks. And the light bounty hunter is not going to compare to mass attacks on a single target like the wind magical archer is. So there's a lot of choices out here. And just because you think this is a rare monster that you can't get from unknown scrolls, think about how it's going to fit into your team. Don't just say, oh, it's rare, I need to spend all my time and energy focusing on this guy. So that's all I got to say. You guys are awesome. Channel's doing awesome. Your comments are amazing. Can't wait to do the next video. It's going to be Mystical Scrolls. I kind of just waited on that one because what I want to do is I'm getting all these comments saying, here's what I do when I do Mystical Scrolls. I wait until I have, for example, I wait until I have 5 unknown scrolls, which are 1-star grays in a row, and then I do a Mystical Scroll summon. And then another person will post and say, well, what I like to do is I like to totally close out of the shop, the summoning circle, reopen it, then do a Mystical Scroll summon. And these people have had great luck. And that's really awesome that they've had great luck, but in the end, I'm pretty sure it all just comes down to a random number generator. I don't think you're going to beat the system, but I want to put together a collection of all these theories that everybody has, and maybe we'll even try a couple of them out. It's kind of like gambling. Craps has the same odds. However you play it, there's a certain percentage of odds. And I would think, I don't really like to play roulette or craps because the house is always going to win. But there's tons of people. You go to the casino and there's people just lined up around these tables, just throwing money around, throwing dice, and they think every one of them thinks they can beat the system. And that's great. If they have good luck with a certain system, more power to them. I hope they win. I hope they get these really rare summons, or they win $1 million at the casino. But if it works for you, go for it. That's awesome. That's all I have to say about that. Gambling can be a really fun thing, especially if you throw in all these little tips and tricks. They're not tips and tricks, they're just theories and the way people like to do things. So I'm going to compile something like that, and then we're going to do 11 Mystical Scroll summons here real soon. Maybe tonight, by tomorrow morning at least. So stay tuned, guys. This has been a long video on just the light bounty hunter, but you guys are awesome. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Free to play gaming out.